Hey everybody, I'm Darren, and on this cold February afternoon, it's about 15 degrees out. I was going to go fishing. I've changed my mind about that. I think instead I'm just going to do a review on my most favorite rod. That's my Dobyns Fury 702 SF, and it's right here. And this fishing rod right here, it's the Dobyns 702 Fury SF. I love this rod. I purchased this rod about 3 years ago, and I wouldn't trade this rod for anything at all. It's a medium light rod. I use it for most of the trout fishing that I do, and all of my creek fishing for bass, and a lot of lake fishing whenever I'm fishing the local lakes here in Pennsylvania, and I need to drop down to finesse fishing. So at a quick glance, like some of the really nice things about this rod is like, of course, like you got a cork grip, and it has like the Fuji reel seat on it. And like I said, it's a medium light rod, and it's actually like a fast action rod, so it has like a really fast tip to it. Where I use it the most is when I'm fishing and I'm like in a finesse fishing situation, like in the early spring or like late winter, like when the fish just aren't biting and you got to do your finesse fishing. In the summertime, like lake fishing, and the lake water warms up to the point where the fish just aren't biting. This rod right here almost every time brings me in a fish. Not always a big fish, but it does bring me in a fish. So where I really like this rod the most, though, is in a creeks, because with this rod, I've used this rod and I've caught trout off of this rod. It's a lot of fun. It's a blast catching a trout off of this rod. I've caught so many bass off this rod, and like big Pennsylvania creek bass, I'll call them. But I do use it for swim baits, small like finesse jigs, the Bitsy bug right here. I use this a lot. This is one of my go-tos with this rod, and this is what I use whenever like the bass fishing gets tough. I need to have like a good finesse bait. Either that, or I'm using this like a standing jig head. Standing jig head like this with a Fat Albert. This is the Fat Albert curly tail grub. Also on these Storm swim shads. Now this is the 4-inch. I would not use the 4-inch on this rod, but I have used the 3-inch, and I use it last year. I used it quite frequently, and I'll probably be doing that again this year. So right now I have this rigged with a 6-pound fluorocarbon. I've not had any problem with that, except for like, towards the end, like this started to fray, and I did have some snaps, some line breakage. And because I fish a lot of creeks, so the line takes a pretty good beating. And I did catch a really nice bass off of this last year. And well, I tried to catch a really nice bass off of this last year. I had it hooked up, and it broke the line. So I think that I'm gonna probably move up to an 8-pound line. Now I have this rod paired up with a Shimano Sedona 3000. I really like this reel. I was kind of a little bit apprehensive about it at first, because I think the price point on a rod is $100, and a reel was like the price point was, I think I got it for like 50 or 55. But it turned out to be like a really great combination. I believe the reel is like a 6:2 to 1 ratio. I really like the ratio of the reel. It just seems like to be a really nice match. There's a real nice balance to it, and I realize like doing this to your rod, trying to balance your rod on your index finger doesn't mean anything, because I could trade this reel with another reel, and suddenly like a heavier or a lighter reel, then it's going to affect the balance. But just the idea that I can actually balance the rod, it has a real nice feel to it, where the cast is just, it's almost perfect, and it's just so smooth. So the pros with this rod, there are a lot of pros, definitely more pros than cons with this rod. The one thing that I really like about this rod is the price point. I think when I bought this rod, I think I think I paid $110 for this rod. I believe that I'm not even sure. I think it might be up to like $120 right now. But let me tell you, this rod is so worth the $110 or $120. It's amazing, the rod that you're getting for that price point. The versatility of this rod, like I said, like I use this rod. I'm here in Pennsylvania where the bass don't get super big, but I'm pretty confident that I could probably like catch, bring in just most bass, as long as I'm not like fishing the weeds or anything like that. And let me tell you, like, I'm not like a gear junkie. Like, I'm not trying to tell you that you have to like have like the most expensive gear to catch bass, because I bought a combo, a Daiwa combo. I don't remember the exact model of it, but in 1988, I purchased that combo for $25, and I'm still using that same rod today as my drop shot rod. When I stepped up to this rod, this Fury 702, it was like that first, just on the cast, the very first cast, like I knew that I had like a really good rod, and I was amazed at the difference. Just the way the line was coming off the reel and the casting distance that I got out of that this rod was just amazing. I used to have to keep my finger on the line like this. Excuse me, ceiling fan. I used to have to keep my finger on the line like this so I knew if I was getting a bite or not. Not with this rod. You don't have to do that with this rod, because anything even touches this line, you feel it. You can feel it all the way up into the grip. It's really amazing how sensitive this rod really is. So as far as the durability of this rod goes, I don't have any issues with it. I've smashed the tip off of so many rocks that I've thought, oh my God, I know that I broke something, and I didn't. So it seems to hold up. The tips seem to hold up pretty well. So now let's talk about the warranty, which is probably the most exciting thing about this rod. If the price point is bothering you a little bit, don't worry about it, because this rod comes with a limited lifetime warranty for the original owner, which means if you're the original owner, if you buy this rod from the retailer, the warranty covers anything that happens to this rod. You get a new rod. Fishing partner steps on it, runs it over with his truck. For 50 bucks, you get a new rod. Okay, so let's talk about the cons of this rod. And honestly, like, there aren't that many cons of this rod, but one con that I'll tell you about right now are these guides here, up here towards the top, and then like the very tip. Like, it's just the diameter of this is like really small. So if you're one of those people who likes to use braid, say with a mono or a fluorocarbon leader, you're going to tie that knot. That knot's going to get caught up in here. And you know what happens whenever it keeps getting caught up here? One, it's like super annoying, and it puts stress on your knot, on your rod and your guides, but also it puts a lot of stress on that knot, so that one day then you finally do a cast and you just watch your lure just shoot off. It's gone. You've been watching Fishing Small Waters. See you next time.